strangers. On today's episode, I talked to Joe Davison, who plays Nerdy Tech in Stranger Things Season 2. We chat about horror movies, missing his chance to high-five Millie, working with the incredible cast, and seeing just how much the Duffer brothers would let him get away with on set. And of course, being demodog chow. This call was recorded via Skype, so just keep that in mind while you listen. Enjoy this episode and stay strange.
Hi, my name is Joe Davison, and I play Nerdy Tech on Stranger Things Season 2. You're listening to the Upside Down Podcast.
Hey, Joe.
Hello? Hi.
Hey, what's up? This is Ash.
Hi, Ash. What's up? First of all, I want to compliment you on your name because it's my singularly favorite character name in the horror world.
Oh, because Evil Dead?
Yes.
I love Bruce Campbell. He's mwah.
Yeah, I love him. Like, well, I want to wear his skin. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel like I want him to be on Stranger Things. I feel like it would check out.
I feel like he'd have to win, though. He'd have to come in.
He'd have to wrangle a Demogorgon.
Yeah, he'd just look at it and be like, come on, baby. You know.
Get the buzzsaw.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, and then just, hop her and just be like, all right, he's going to have a coffee and a cigarette.
First, I want to thank you for rescheduling. I know that we've tried to get an interview with you for a bit. And
how is the puppy?
Gonzo is doing great. I mean, fans of the podcast will know our dog Gonzo. He does still have cancer, but they removed a big tumor, and so he's feeling great. He's feeling, much better. I mean, he's 13, so he's an old dog anyway.
Yeah.
But he's definitely doing great, so I appreciate that. And I know that the first time was because you were filming something in L.A. Do you want to tell us about that? Is that top secret? Can we know?
No. Well, it's, top secret's a funny thing because I didn't really learn that till I was on Stranger Things. They locked us down. You couldn't say anything. You couldn't take pictures. Well, you could take pictures. You couldn't share them. You couldn't do a lot. They were very honest. But, a little bit about my film. I directed a movie out in L.A. called Sorority of the Damned. It's a horror comedy. And it's got some icons in it. It's got Felissa Rose in it. Sarah French is in it. It has Richard Elfman. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he did Forbidden Zone, and he's got a brother by the name of Danny who's really well known for music. And so Richard played my grandfather, and it was really cool. And it's a great, fun horror comedy with lots of gore and raunchy jokes, really, basically. It's
cool that you're a horror fan and that, your role on Stranger Things involved a very kind of gruesome, horrific scene happening to you.
Yeah.
But first, so I found you on social media because a friend of the podcast, Karen Cisse, she plays Mrs. Sinclair. She tagged you in a really sweet, kind of funny post, and it was a slow-motion video of you and I think maybe one of your children, your daughter, running around a giant inflated Demogorgon with just sprinkles, and it was just playing this really funny Brady Bunchy happy music. Tell me about that. What was that?
Well, it was an outdoor sprinkler, and my wife had got it for me because she thought it'd be hysterical. So we put it out in the front yard, and we played with that thing for weeks. I mean, we live in Florida, so it's hot here every day almost, except for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, we're from Florida. We've only lived in Georgia for about 4 years. Maybe right when we started the podcast, so going on 5 years, that was the week we moved to Georgia, was because we realized we lived down the street from the Hawkins High School, and that's when we started the podcast. But we're from Jacksonville. Duval, from Florida.
Oh, no, yeah, nice. Yeah, Jacksonville, the place of bridges only.
That's accurate.
Yeah. Where do you live? Bridge 12. All right.
But the cool thing about it was 2 hours from Orlando, where a lot of stuff goes down. So that's not too bad.
Yeah, I live in Tampa, St. Pete.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I'm right there. Yep.
Now, I know that you're super stoked because you just had a film come out on Amazon called Beauty is Skin Deep. Before we get started, what do you want to tell fans about that? I know you're interested for people to watch it. You're really proud of it.
Yeah, it's something different for me. My wheelhouse has always been horror. I started years ago, 2000, making horror films. I started in comedy, but I've always been a horror fan since I was in 5th grade. But when I got into entertainment in 95, I'm dating myself, I started on stage doing comedy, doing improv. So this is about beauty. I don't know how I got to where I'm at right now, But anyways, yeah, Beauty Skin Deep is a little different than what I normally do. It's a high school thriller drama, kind of a whodunit, written by the wonderful Jennifer Phillips. And I just thought it was a great take on high school. And not only, is there drama in high school, but also, what if also someone's killing everybody, So that's basically what it is. It's a whodunit in a high school coming-of-age murder mystery.
So I think fans of Riverdale are going to like your movie.
Yeah, that's exactly what Jennifer modeled it after, was Riverdale. It has that feeling.
It's funny because my sister always makes fun of me because I watch Riverdale, but I'm like, when you start watching it, it's just shot so beautifully. Like the coloring is beautiful, everything is beautiful. And then as it goes on, you're just like, oh no, this isn't happening. None of this stuff would happen, but you're invested. You're in there.
Yeah. I was kind of like that a little bit because I was like, man, when I was in high school, if anyone talked to me like this, I would have beat them to the ground.
I like how the whole town is run by a teenager from like her underground,
right?
her underground lair. It's like, what?
Right.
Okay, Stranger Things. So for fans that don't know, you play a lab tech in season 2. The first thing I always like to know is just, how did that role and that opportunity come about?
Well, I have an agent in Tampa. She just was like, you have an audition. And I was like, okay. And she's like, have you heard of this show called Stranger Things? And I was like, what? Yeah, I just binge watched the first season yesterday. What are you talking about? And she's like, well, they're shooting season 2. You have an audition. It's very small roles. It was like 2 lines. And I go in, I do my audition. I'm like, Roger, over, under, whatever it was. It was one of the tech guys in the Upside Down.
Yeah.
One of those guys. Just a quick line. So I did that, and I was like, all right, that's cool. Let's see what happens. Now, what nobody knows is that I was just coming off of a letdown for the show This Is Us. I was up for the lead in that.
Oh, really? The one that Benny ends up playing?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Guys,
so
that's an NBC show if you don't know.
That's a strange coincidence that the guy from Stranger Things got the lead in This Is Us, but then I had auditioned for Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Anyway, so I audition. I don't hear anything for a couple of weeks. I get another audition for it. I read again. This time it's like 2 pages of dialogue. I'm like, this is better. I can bite my teeth into this. This is great. It's okay. I don't hear anything. Like 2 weeks go by, I get another audition, and it's like 5 pages. And I was like, yeah, baby. So I do that, and I don't hear anything. Months go by, and I have the flu at this point. Mm-hmm. I'm sick. I haven't been out of bed in like 3 days. I'm coming out of it. I'm actually like well enough to eat some soup, and I turned my phone on. I hadn't had my phone on in days because I was sick. I wasn't doing anything. And it just starts ringing off the hook. Bing, 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 ding, ding. It's ding, ding. And I'm like, what the? It's in the other room, by the way. And I'm eating soup and look at my wife. And I'm like, I'm dying. And so I go in the bedroom and I look at my phone. And it's like 87 missed calls from my agent. And I was like, that's odd. It's like when Derek Zoolander comes home and he's got all the missed messages. And he's like, that does seem peculiar. So I call her. I'm like, what? I said, what's going on? And she's like, I've been trying to get a hold of you for 12 hours. And I was like, my phone was dead and I was dying. I don't know. What do you want? And she goes, you got the part. And I was like, which one? Because I auditioned like 3 times a week, so I had no idea what she was talking about. And she's like, Stranger Things. And I was like, what? And then she's like, yeah, so you're going to be, they need you on, this was Tuesday. She's like, they need you on Monday. I was like, all right, do it. Let's sign it. We sign the paperwork, whatever. And then Wednesday, this is Tuesday. Wednesday, I get a call, and they say, can you be here Friday? And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. What time do you want me there? They give me a time. I got to go meet wardrobe, whatever. And then, like, 3 hours later, I get a call, and it's like, can you be here tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, whenever you need me. I'll just leave now. So I go, and that was my experience. I left immediately and got in. They wardrobe me on set. The pumpkin patch, that was cool as shit. I got to see that before anybody because that's where I was meeting them.
Oh, okay.
They had me drive to the pumpkin patch, meet wardrobe in a trailer, and they costumed me there.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, it was really cool, man. I got to see really cool stuff that day.
We went to the pumpkin patch because the farm that owns it, they kind of did like a small little tour. Now they do it all the time. Now they let people come, and it's like a whole thing with like an escape room, and they've decked out the cabin. That
I got the address. I know right where it's at.
Yeah, but we got to see it, and it was really funny because we didn't obviously see it when it was shooting, but afterwards the farmer went out and he like threw out some pumpkins and he let them like rot all over the ground. So it was really rad. So seeing it firsthand must have been super cool.
That's cool, man. Yeah, it was, and it was the cop cars. It was cool, man. It was a lot of like coolness happening in my brain all at once. I was like, this is pretty dope.
I always think it's interesting because, you know, you're an actor, so you work with like a variety of people, and you're not allowed to really get starstruck. But like on a show like Stranger Things that was like such a sleeper, and then immediately like overnight people watched it and it just became, you know, what it is today. Being cast on that show for the season 2, you must have been pretty stoked.
I was it was beyond that because it was one, I couldn't say anything to anybody. They wouldn't let me say anything, right? So I was like, okay, that sucks. I couldn't tell anybody. So, you know, it was this quiet, just I'd go out to like an event, you know, a film festival or something, and people are like, what are you working on? I'm like, nothing. What are you doing? I bet it's not as cool as what I'm not doing. And so it wasn't revealed until Comic-Con when they released the Season 2 trailer, which, by the way, I didn't know they were doing. I didn't know they were doing this. I found out because I'm in the horror industry. I've directed a couple horror films. I know a lot of people. So my friends, that was very Trump of me. I got a lot of friends. I know the best filmmakers. I was like, but I knew people, and they were all at Comic-Con that I didn't know that. So I'm sitting at, this is very odd, same table, same seat, only this time I'm eating dinner. It was like a hero. We just got like Publix sandwiches or something. And my phone starts to go nuts. And I'm starting to see that it's like all my buddies in L.A. And it's just like, what? Fuck you, blah, 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 da-da-da-da, all this stuff. And I was like, what is happening? I pick it up and I look at my wife and I'm like, what? And then I get one from a very, very good friend of mine. And it's just a screenshot of the trailer of me. And he's like, you didn't tell me you were in Stranger Things. And I looked at it and I was like, what? And I was like, where are you? And he's like, Comic-Con, you just were in the trailer. 40,000 people just saw you. And I was like, yeah, baby. And then after that, it was fire. It was just fire.
You're like, I'm texting everybody.
Yeah, and now it's quiet. Nobody cares anymore.
Everybody cares. There's always going to be a new generation of fans coming to that show.
Oh,
that's
man.
the good thing.
My daughters have a hard time with it because they'll watch, because I got a bunch of stuff on Amazon and Hulu and Netflix, and you know they'll see me and they'll like.
How old are they?
I have a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Oh, cool.
And I have a 14-year-old son, but he doesn't talk to me and he stays in his room playing Fortnite. So I'm not quite sure he's even here anymore.
Yeah, our little mascot of the show is my little baby, my 8-year-old Kilby. So, but when your daughters are like 10 or 11, they're really going to appreciate. They're going to go back to it and they're going to be like, yeah, our dad's on Stranger Things.
Right now, they don't have the knowledge to use the power correctly.
One of the things that's really neat is that you kind of have your own little station in Hawkins Lab, like your own little zone. What was it like to be in that set?
Well, the surreal part of all of it was the fact that I was in something that looked exactly like Aliens, and I was in there with Paul Reiser.
Yeah.
And my brain could not get out of Aliens, and I was just like, I turned to him at one point. I said, "Yo, man, does this all look familiar?" And he kind of looked at me, and I was like, you know, Whale and Yutani and all that shit. And he's like, "That's why it looks familiar." That's what he said. So I was like, yeah. And he and I got fairly close. He's very funny because we were there for a long time. People don't realize like you're there for like 12 hours a day for like 4 or 5 days. So it's like, what do you do in that downtime? You just talk to your, you know, co-stars and stuff.
Yeah.
You know? So it was fun. I had a lot of fun with the scientists, the extras, those guys. Those guys are really, you know, we just offset, you know.
So the other scientists were background actors?
Yeah, but some of them were really, but they do that stuff professionally. Some of those guys, start looking in the backgrounds for them in other shows. You'll see them everywhere. You
were in a few episodes. Who directed your episodes? The same, the Duffers, Sean Levy?
No. Andrew Stanton, Oscar-winning director for Finding Nemo and I don't know, Madagascar, and a bunch of stuff.
That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, he was, I didn't know this going in. My surrealness started, well, first of all, I was like, you got the part, great. And then I show up, and I'm like, this is cool. And then I really show up to set, and they're like, here's your sides, get in the wardrobe. There's Crafty. There's a trailer full of lobster, whatever you want. And I was like, okay, cool. So, and I'm used to making my own films. So, I'm making like, $500,000 projects. They're spending $500,000 every, 8 minutes. You know what I mean? So, the difference is, my crafty table is, a fold-out table with some shit on it, and their crafty table is an entire 18-wheeler with pull-out drawers. You can make your own sandwiches out of whatever you want. So, anyways, so I walk in, Crafty getting a coffee, and Paul Reiser walks in, and immediately we were like, what's up? I'm like, I'm Nerdy Tech, and da-da-da, and I begged for a name, and I did. I begged them for a name. I was like, can I be called something? Steve? Anything? Give me a fucking name. So they didn't. So I asked Paul Reiser one shot. I was like, lean over and be like, Ralph. So I walk in, and it's this amazing set piece, and it's just fabulous. And Paul Reiser's next to me, and I'm looking at all this, and then I hear these main doors. They're like submarine doors into the studios. They really are. They're these giant doors you pull open. You have to step over a threshold.
Oh, cool.
They're like soundproof doors. It's cool. And I hear it open. I turn around, and it's the Duffer brothers. They walk in, and I was like, oh, cool. And they both looked at me and they're like, what's up, Joe? And I was like, me? And they're like, yeah. I was like, hi, you know my name? And they're like, yeah, of course. I was like, that's dope. I was like, I'm done. See ya. So that's kind of how I was, and I hugged them, I grabbed them, and picked them both up and hugged them.
Did they enjoy that?
I don't know. They went with it, but then they quickly scattered away.
Not having a name. Have you seen Christopher Nolan's Tenet?
No.
Okay, well, the lead actor in it, when you're watching it, on Amazon or whatever, it'll showcase, all the characters' names. He's just called the protagonist, and it's like Denzel Washington's son, and he's the lead, and he's called the protagonist. So you're in good company, Nerdy Tech.
Yeah. I even wrote I was signing all my paperwork, and it just said Nerdy Tech, and I crossed it out, and I put Steve at the top of it, but that never happened.
And Paul's like, man, I thought we agreed on Ralph.
I wish.
That's cool. I was going to ask you later, but, he is like a huge presence. He's just been in Diner and he's been in so many things.
Yeah.
That, as an actor, like I said before, you work with a lot of people, but it must be surreal to work with someone that's, been so good at their craft for so long. Did you learn anything from him?
Paul, it takes a moment for comedians to accept each other. There's almost like this little bubble. And I did comedy. Like I said, I started in comedy. I did probably 15 years on stage of improv and sketch comedy, and I had my own improv troupe in Tampa with 3 actually. And that was my life for a long time. So I know I opened for a lot of comedians, Bobby Slayton, Kevin Pollak. My improv troupe opened for Dave Chappelle to 30,000 people. So I've done it. I know a lot of these guys. So, we just started kind of talking and shooting the shit, and then immediately we were just one bit after another, him and I. And we almost pulled it into the scenes because we were becoming so kind of quick-witted with each other off camera that when things started to happen, we had to hold back because he was going to do something with his coffee cup. I had Twizzlers in my pocket, and I was going to try to hand him one. You know what I mean? And that kind of shit. So that was the kind of neglected stuff because we'd look over at the Duffers brothers were there, and I remember looking at one of them, I don't know which one at this point now, and I said, when they flip the light back on, can I go light is green, trap is clean, and point to Paul? And he just as he's walking through the set, he's just I was like, okay, that's cool, thanks, all right.
Guys, he shook his head in a hard no.
Yeah, I know. Well, they didn't stop me from eating. That was all me. I brought in the food to eat in the scene. So they didn't stop me there. I was going to pull out a sandwich at one point, but I thought that'd be too far. And then I thought it'd be funny. I said, what if I pull out a shit ton of Twizzlers and threw them down the hallway to the demodogs to try to distract them? And they were just like, what? I was like, nothing.
We don't have money to pay for Twizzlers, but they do have money to pay for those Twizzlers.
Yeah, what do you mean?
I think your character's interesting because, he works for Hawkins, so not the good guys. But
yeah, we don't know. I played him as he was just
maybe.
Yeah.
Better than Brenner's crew. But he's fun. He's listening to his Walkman. He's bouncing a ball. He's being kind of, I would say, almost too casual for the situation that he's in.
Yeah, well, I think it changed when they met me, and they were just like, okay, we're just going to have him not do anything. Just sit here bouncing the ball. But,
well, that's what I was wondering, because your character has he's a scientist, and he could just be kind of sitting there, but he's being kind of goofy. He's just like, he's jamming out, he's playing a ball. He's like, I know there's terrible things happening around me, and I got it. What kind of direction were you given?
Yo, man, give me I was giving... yeah. Nerdy tech, man. I don't know. He was just sitting there with his Walkman on and bouncing a ball, and he's an idiot. I don't know. If they had given him, I didn't beg, but this is the real secret to Nerdy Tech. They'd only given me 2 episodes, and they liked me so much, because that whole scene when the camera pulls back and I'm all by myself and shit in that room.
Yeah. That
was at the end of the day. I had been with Hopper and I had been with Paul Reiser. Eleven was sitting outside for a bit, which, by the way, Millie Bobby Brown's agent, right before she landed Stranger Things, was my agent.
Oh, right.
They let her go because they didn't know what to do with her. There wasn't anything here in Florida, the Southeast, for her to do. They knew someone who was really big out in L.A., and they basically, transferred her or traded her like a football player to another agency. And then she landed Stranger Things.
And now she
Isn't that crazy?
And now she is the Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah, right. So I'm almost there, is what I'm saying.
You just got to get traded.
Yeah, trade me up, baby. Coach, I'm ready to play. Did I answer that question? I have no idea.
Yeah, I think so. How many days were you on set? How many days did you film if you were originally supposed to have, a couple episodes?
It ended up being, I don't know, I'll say 3 weeks.
Oh, cool.
All in all. It was a while. It was good. It was good. It was really good. And I think I just kept them all happy is the thing, I just was the idiot. As soon as we cut, I'd start being stupid, And I'm a crew guy, and a lot of people aren't crew actors. I got friends of mine who I'll be on set with them in something, and the cut, and they fucking drop it, turn around, walk over to their chair, and they sit the fuck down, and they don't do anything. They don't talk to the DP. They don't talk to the producers. They sit there. And I'm like, okay.
What are they doing? They're reading?
Yeah, first of all, I'm not that dude. I want to know the DP. I want to know the producers. I want to know the guy hanging because they're the ones working.
Yeah.
We're coming in, saying some lines, having a good time. But as soon as they yell cut, we can go get high. These guys, they're working, man. They have beers at the end of their shifts because they're sweating their asses off. So I like to hang out with those. I like to hang out with the crew a lot. And as a director and it's also a way to network and navigate my way through who's real.
Yeah, I was going to say as a director, I'm sure that plays a big part in how you see things. You realize, every single person is important. I get a lot of questions that are how can I be a director? How can I work on Stranger Things as a, set dresser? And I'm like, well, you got to go PA. You got to start at the bottom. I don't think any role is the bottom, really, because every single thing is important on a show. But, if you're doing it by titles, but, you start there and you just kind of work your way up and you kind of learn how everything goes, and then you see that it's the directors are important, obviously, but, literally nothing could get done if every single person didn't kind of, play their role. So, as a director, you know that, and so you want to, chat it up with the people that you're you guys are making this happen.
Yeah. Who's the line producer? You are? What's up, buddy?
Do you like horror movies?
Exactly. Break this script down for me. Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit earlier, but as a horror fan, someone who loves blood and guts. Oh, you know what? Did you like Midsommar?
It was okay. I saw it coming. I thought.
What?
I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was. I thought. It was great. It was bizarre. I loved it. But when all the heads were off and stuff, I was like, yeah.
I loved it. What about, what's that new Nicolas Cage movie? Not Mandy. Mandy was so good. The Color Out of Space, is that it?
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, it's beautiful. The way they shoot it is just crazy.
I heard it's
beautiful.
Super surreal.
It's funny because you're watching it and you're like, Nick Cage, what's happening? He's not doing it. And then he does it. And then he goes Nick Cage and you're like, yeah, this movie's it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought of that because you like
I love
films.
Nick Cage.
I thought you might be interested in those other 2 movies because Randy, Mr. Clark, he and I are always talking about how much we love Midsommar. So I was like, maybe Joe likes Midsommar. But as a fan of horror, you got to do something really, really fun. And I think in the Stranger Things universe, just really fun. You got to be, eaten alive by alien. What was the process like? Tell me I want to know everything about that, about the blood, about who was pretend eating you. Tell me.
Well, his name was Johnny. We're friends still. Yeah, it was cool. It was, I didn't know that because we didn't get the script. I showed up, and me and Helena Bell, who plays the radar girl, she and I were like, we show up and we're outside kind of just reading the sides. And I was like, what does yours say? And she's like, what does yours say? And I was like, mine says I'm going to die in an elevator. And she's like, that's what mine says. I was like, I don't like this show anymore. And when it came time to shoot it, I looked at it, I said, hear me out. I said, what if I also go up the stairs with them? Because, Hopper and, what's his name, Snow? Is that his name? No.
Dr. Owens?
Owens.
Yeah.
Snow. And, Owens, they run upstairs. And I was like, wait, we're all scientists. Why are we going to the elevator when clearly the way out is through the stairs? So they're like, go to the stairs, Joe. Because at this point, everything ended with, Joe. Like, no, Joe, go. Go over there. Stop
Somebody
eating all
make sure he doesn't have any Twizzlers.
Yeah. Oh, my God. How many cups of coffee is that today? Jesus. Yeah. So anyway, so we're like, so they're like, go to makeup. We go to makeup, and they're like, get naked. And I was like, what? And they're like, we got to scar you up. And I was like, okay. So, clothes off, scars come on, really cool application and process, which I love. That's the whole point of the horror movies. And then, they cut up our clothes and stuff. And that was just after we did 2 days of running down a hallway. Because we had to run down the hallway first. Yeah. The glass breaks. We back up out of the room, down the hallway, down the next hallway, down a hallway to an elevator. That was a lot of running. So much running. Because we did it take after take after take because they were using, I don't know what it's called. They told me 6 times, and I still can't remember. It was a 6-wheeled, 6-person manned electric golf cart that looked like the military owned it, and that's where they put the camera on. Okay. So when we're running down the hallway and we look behind us, they're coming at us at about 40 miles an hour on this cart. And they're like, run faster, Joe. And I was like, I can't run any faster. That's basically how it was for days.
That's funny. I was at a panel once with Gayton, who plays Dustin. I think it was one of the first cons he did, and he was talking about the scene at the quarry where he and Mike, or Finn, are running from the bully. And they were like, Mike is so tall, or Finn is so tall. Even then, he was a little bit taller, and so he was running really fast. And they're like, Dustin, or Gayton, you gotta speed up. And he's like, I can't. I'm doing it. This is as fast as I can go. He's like, he's gonna have to slow down. Yeah,
that's about where I was. They didn't care though, because I'm an adult.
When you were laying on the ground, our friend who plays Agent Connie Frazier in the end of episode, or I guess at the end of season 1, she's attacked, and she said that they just dumped syrup all over her face, red goopy syrup. She said her hair was sticking to the floor. She said they ended up not using that scene, but she was like, I was doused in just syrup. It was so sticky and goopy. Did you get any of that fun stuff?
I did. Once we got in so we get the elevator. Get in, here they come, the door shuts, we're inside now, the door's going to open. So inside, we're all cut up, and they're having us lay down and put us in positions, and we keep moving around. It took 20 minutes to figure out how we were supposed to lay down to make it look cool.
Yeah.
And then we got in position, and then, basically they just came in with, we call spray gun in the industry. It's basically like a pump with it's an insecticide sprayer, like you can buy at Home Depot, filled with red fake blood. They just sprayed us with that for 10 minutes, and then, and then they're like, okay, act like you're dead, and then they poked us with a little shiny metal rod with a tennis ball on the end of it for 2 days.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was great. I just got to lay in an elevator and be like,
You just got to get that latex on, and then you just lay there and get...
Yeah, that was
the hardest. Cool air.
That's what they had. The hardest part was, I can kind of remember where they were still, too, because they had to, once they put those applications on, the latex applications, they're pretty solid. You have to get them off with, alcohol swabs and stuff. So, but I was peeling that off of my chest hair for days. I was I had over here and over here. Interesting fact, I get to Atlanta, and I get a call the same day. My daughter fell, hit her forehead, split it open. She needed 10 stitches on her forehead.
Oh, no.
Thankfully, it goes the same way as her, brow line. Can't even see it now. You can't see it now. But I was devastated. I didn't know what to do. I almost left to come take care of my daughter. And my wife was like, no, I got it. She just hit her head. It's a couple stitches. I was like, it's a gaping wound in her forehead. What do you mean? And she's like, I got it. I was like, okay. Fine. I believe you. I love you. And so I had to match. She sent me a picture, so I had effects match the scar.
Oh, that's dope.
I put that on my forehead.
You should have, if you have a photo of it, it'd be cool if you like had a picture in your hallway and it was like your 8x10 and her 8x10 right next to each other.
I have a photo. I took a screenshot of what they said and what I look like, and I put them together like on Instagram.
See, great minds. That's how you do it.
Although I didn't think about printing it out and put it on our wall of shame.
Yeah, you gotta. That's super cool. I love that. So you told us a little about working with Paul. What was it like being around, the magnificent David Harbour?
Magnificent.
Magnificent.
It's like watching a majestic elk prance through his scenes unscathed. It was great, man. He was a really cool dude. He was laid back. He rolled his own cigarettes, which I found was interesting.
He's fancy.
And I was on set the day he found out he got Hellboy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I was on set, man. And he got the news and it became a big deal.
Oh, that's interesting. Did you have any idea that he was up for that? Because as a horror fan, you must have thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I knew a while, weeks ago, because he was, as actors do, wondering whether or not we got the role. And I thought, how interesting someone like him, already in his position where he is, stressing out whether or not he got another role in a film. Because at this point, bro, just take the millions and sit back. You landed Stranger Things, #1 show on Netflix for the next 5 years. You don't know it yet, but that's what's going to happen. And you're stressing out over one role in a movie. I'm just like, wow, that's just a interesting perspective to see.
Then he's got a whole nother stress. He's got to take on a role made so classic by Ron Perlman. You gotta bring it in a new way. As
much as I love Stranger Things and being part of the family, I will have to say that Hellboy is Ron Perlman. I have to say it. I
didn't say it. Guys, it wasn't me.
I know the Stranger Things fans are going to lose their mind, but you have to understand, I grew up watching Guillermo del Toro as a director, and him and Ron Perlman got history. He's been in all of Guillermo's stuff, and when they decided to do Hellboy, it was the perfect fit. And not that I have every single action figure from Hellboy the movies with Ron Perlman, from the small little itty-bitty PVCs you can only find in some weird Japanese website at 2 in the morning. I have all those. But I also have the giant, 25-inch, standees of Hellboy. He's right next to my Ash, actually. I'm a nerd. D-Tech.
David might agree with you. I think he had a really cool look, and I think that the film has its moments, but I think he was saying himself in an interview later that some things didn't come together the way he thought they were going to come together, but, that's how it goes.
Yeah, man, you don't know when you're making a movie what... You go in making a movie thinking that this is going to be cool and we're going to do really well and we're going to maybe make some money. That's the whole goal to make a movie is, for production studios, is to make money, right? Someone at my level, I'm doing it just to make a film because that's what I want to do. That's my life. And you don't know, though. You don't know at a $40 million budget or a $400,000 budget what you're making, because you could take a $40 million project and it could crash and no one could ever see it. And you could take a $400,000 project and make Napoleon Dynamite. And Hollywood doesn't know. And they're scrambling, constantly trying to... I feel for those guys, these watcher dudes, studios have, where they're constantly, looking at the latest trends and they're trying to, what was it that David said at Schitt's Creek? When he was looking for... Do you watch Schitt's Creek?
Oh, yeah, I love it.
When he's looking for a job... And he's talking to Stevie, and he's like, or trend marketing, whatever. Anyway, so, these guys who do this, there's no answer to this. There's no rhyme or reason why a movie becomes successful or it doesn't become successful.
Yeah, I talked to an actress who was recently on an episode of season 3. She played Janet Holloway. She was the mom. And she was telling me that she was reached out to when Stranger Things season 1 started. They wanted her to audition for something. And she kind of read the little synopsis that they send out. And she's a mom, and she just thought it sounded like something she couldn't handle, like a little boy disappears, monsters might have him, so she passed on it. She was like, no, I'm not going to do it. It just sounds like something that would be too much for me. She's not like a horror fan.
Yeah.
And then, season 3...
So that went to Winona Ryder.
I know. So then she said they came back to her for season 3, and she was like, yes, please, and thank you. I would love to be on season 3. So
yeah, damn, I should have passed it up. They would have come back to me.
Well, she said when she saw season 1, she kind of got the real vibe. She was like, oh, it's like Stephen King for kids. It's not what I thought that it was. So
yeah.
And I know the makeup lead, Amy Forsyth, was telling me when they first started it, she was like, we're just doing this small show. We didn't have a big budget. We were just making it. We liked it. And she said, like, maybe halfway through, the Duffers showed the whole cast and crew. They brought them around, and they just showed them, like, a little bit of the first few episodes. And she was like, holy shit. Like, this is what we're making? Like, this is amazing. So,
yeah, that's cool.
So you're right. It's like you never know. You just got to go out at 100%.
Yeah, you don't know, man. You don't know, and you go, that's all I try to do when I make my movies is I know how much money I got, and I got to figure out how we're going to make that the coolest shit anyone's ever seen.
Yeah.
Doesn't always work.
But it's fun trying, right?
It's fun trying, yes. Yeah, until you have to pay your rent.
Do you have any sad stories or anything just like kind of unique that happened that you think people would enjoy?
I have a few.
That are tellable?
Yeah. One is when I first met Gatton. I come out of my trailer, and I'm just like, all right, I'm this cool nerdy tech. I don't have a name, so I'm nobody, man. Nobody gives a shit about me. I'm just gonna stand here. I'm gonna go get more coffee from over there, and I'm gonna stand right here. I'm gonna drink my coffee. And at that point, I was getting a movie funded called Hank. And we were getting about $1 million for it. So I was actually in the process of, like, about to get $1 million. So I was like, whatever, nobody cares, checking my email, whatever. And I look over, and Gatton's, like, sitting in the dirt by himself. And I was like, is that his stubble? I was like, I was like, why is he just sitting in the dirt? And I look over there, and I'm like, all right, well, he's like 8 years old or 9 years old. I don't know how old he was at the time, but he's young. Yeah. He's a kid. And I was like, well, I can't go over there and talk to him. I was like, because what kind of weirdo, what adult male goes talks to the kid? So nobody around. I was like, all right, fuck it. So I walk over there, and I'm like, what's up, man? And he's like playing, I don't know, not a Game Boy, but like a PlayStation something. It wasn't a Wii. It was something smaller though. And he's like, hey, man. I was like, dude, this is a really cool show. And he's like, yeah, it's crazy, right? And I was like, yeah, it's really crazy. And he stands up and he reaches out. He's like, I'm Gatton. And I was like, yeah, what's up, man? I'm Joe. And we sat there. I don't know. We talked about comic books for a minute. We talked about acting. I don't really remember the whole conversation, but I thought that was really cool. And I turn around and walk away. And Dustin is coming up.
Well, Gaten's the one with the curly hair, and he plays Dustin.
No, Lucas.
Oh yeah, Lucas Sinclair.
Yeah, Caleb. He's walking up. Caleb's walking up, and I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, what's up? But Caleb has, like, 19 people with him. It's like his mom and his dad and then, like, I think, like, a whole football crew. I don't know who. He had a lot of people with him. And so I ended up talking to his dad more, to Caleb's dad a lot because he and I hung out by the service table. And but those two, I just thought they were really cool. They had no ego. They didn't have any kind of, like, they were just cool, man, just cool kids. And then Finn, the next day, is sitting on his steps of his trailer, and he and I have this philosophical conversation for about 20 minutes about drugs and Hollywood. And I was like, dude, you're like 12 years old, man. And it was brilliant to have this conversation with this kid because I have a 14-year-old who isn't like that. And I was just like, wow, this is pretty cool, man. So those stories I thought were pretty cool walkaways, The other one is, a couple days have gone by. I've become friends kind of with Finn and Caleb and Gatton. I'm not working any scenes with them, but we're all in the same area, so we're all just hanging out and talking. So it's lunch. I had been kind of cut early, like 10 minutes before lunch. I was done with my scene. So I go outside. They got this huge setup, people are eating everywhere. I don't know. I'm coming back towards the studio, and it's Caleb, Dustin, Gatton, no wait, same people. Gatton, Caleb, and Finn, and Millie Bobby Brown. They see me, and I'm like, what's up, guys? Whap, whap, whap. But I hadn't even addressed Millie. I hadn't even, like, bowed down to her. I didn't know if you had to, like, I didn't know if I had to kiss her rings. And I drop it real quick, and she comes with the high five, and, like, we miss it. And I was like, oh. And she turns around, she's like, I didn't get a high five. And I was like, and she's like, you're done. And she, like, turned around. And she was kidding, but it was just a great moment where it was like, I was like, yeah, who's the asshole? This guy right here. Years from now, when I try to bring her into a movie that I'm doing, she's going to be like, I never got a high five from you.
And you're going to be like, I'll give you one now.
I'll give you
like
5.
10.
Here's 5 million high fives. Just be in my movie.
Okay, so we had a really great fan question that I wanted to ask you.
Oh, man.
It's from,
I don't know why they love me.
It's from Shingo. They said, you had a cassette player in the first scene you showed up in. If you could listen to one song before or while becoming demodog chow, what song would it be? And I'd like for it to be a period correct song with the show.
Oh, yeah. Well, no problem, because I already know. One Night in Bangkok. Sold.
Man,
yeah.
That was a quick answer.
Well, I mean, think about the music. That'd be great. As I'm, like, getting torn up, it's like, one night in Bangkok, I'm just like, oh.
You're pulling Twizzlers out, eat
Yeah, I love it. Oh.
I think that was a missed opportunity, Duffers. That was funny.
I told them. There's a few they didn't like.
That's awesome. I know that you got back from filming in LA, and it was kind of during the outbreak, but with coronavirus happening right now, it must be hard to not have as much work available as usual, or if it is available, it's like so strict with so many different protocols. You know, what are you doing about, like, how are you keeping busy? What are you doing?
Making movies.
Just doing it? Just going for it, wearing the mask? It changed a lot. It increased our budget a little bit on this Sorority of the Damned. Everyone should really check it out. It's going to be, it's really funny, raunchy horror comedy. If you love boners and witches, this is what the movie is. So, yeah. So, anyway, we had to have a COVID compliance officer. Okay, so you'd have someone on set checking temperatures every half an hour. Everyone had to sign in, sign out, and sign again. Every time you got your temperature checked, you had to sign a piece of paper and saying what your temperature was. Mandatory COVID test every week for everybody. So we had about a 40-person crew. So every week, 40 people were getting tested. Not one of us got COVID. Oh, that's good.
30 days of shooting, 40 people or more, plus extras in and out and other people getting tested. No one got COVID. And as far as I know, all of us still don't have COVID because the majority of my crew went on to shoot another movie in Louisiana, and then our effects crew went and shot a werewolf movie. So there's work. Work is happening, but it's not happening at the studio level. It's happening at the independent level.
Where you kind of gotta go, or it's not gonna make it.
There's going to be a surge, watch, of independent films in the next 6 months. It's only going to be independent films. It's not going to be these, like, there's these big horror, films coming out. I think they're like doing another extension of Saw now with Chris Rock, where he's a detective in the Saw world. It's a show or something. It's a whole new branch. Anyways, those are like $50 million horror films. To me and fans everywhere, I don't think those are really horror films. Like, you don't have to spend $50 million on a movie like that.
Yeah.
Because the heart of a horror film's through the fan base. That's really, that's really what they are. So, I don't know if I answered your question now. I don't even know where I was going with that. So,
I think we were talking about, like, that you're definitely still shooting even though COVID is happening because you kind of got to do it. When you get the funding and you got the people, you got to work. You got to keep going. Right now I'm trying to get the next one off the ground, and I'm hoping we'll be in production in the next couple of weeks. Where do you shoot the majority of your films? Just wherever or in Florida?
Well, generally it was in Florida. I've shot 8 feature films here. I shot a movie in Alaska called Frostbite, and then I just shot Sorority in L.A. I'm going to be continuing that process and shooting in L.A.
Where are all your movies available to watch? Are they all on Amazon?
Amazon and somewhere on Netflix. They might even still be there. Amazon Prime or Amazon.com. You can just go and buy the DVDs if they make those anymore. I don't even know. And then I got a couple from way back in the day that you can only get, like, you got to order them on eBay and stuff because you can't find them anywhere.
We like to ask people, what are they into for pop culture? Like, what are some shows or some movies or some music that you're listening to right now that you feel like if you're stuck in your house, you just got to check these out?
Well, I'll always be a... Yeah. So,
Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang, baby. So, but no, I like, there's a new guy now. Well, I don't know how new he is. He's new to me. Travis Sky, I think his name is. Mm-hmm. He's like a synth pop kind of dude. I like The Weeknd. I think they're good. He's good. Is it a person? I don't know. I think it's one person. He takes up 2 names, though. And for movies or shows, Schitt's Creek, for sure. I love Letterkenny. I don't know if you watch Letterkenny.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet, but I always see the promo on Hulu. Yeah. It's like always there. Yeah. So I'm sure I'm going to get drawn into it at some point.
It's a really good comedy. There's a new show called Auntie Donna's Big Old House of Fun. That's on Netflix. It's a sketch show out of Canada. It's got Ed Helms in it. It is hysterical. I like that. And let's see, what's the last movie I watched? Well, me and my daughter watched Friday the 13th, Part 1, the other day.
Your 9-year-old?
My 5-year-old and I.
Did she enjoy it?
She loved it.
She is your child.
Well, here's a weird thing. She's got these, let's see if I can find them. She's got these Chucky dolls I bought her. They're like this big, superposable, really cool. I think they're by NECA. So she plays with these Chucky dolls. It's Chucky and the Bride of Chucky. And Tiffany, right? What's her name? I don't know. Doesn't matter. So she plays with them constantly. And we got little things like this around my house everywhere. So I have a giant, my buddy, good friend of mine, made this giant Friday the 13th, Jason.
Oh, yeah, I
see it.
You
see that?
Yeah.
It's huge. It's like 5 feet by like 5 feet, I think. Because my goal is to direct Friday the 13th, Part 13. And so close.
I'm going to send you all the energy.
Please.
All the energy.
Send it to Sean Cunningham. He's the owner. I just need to convince him.
I feel like you can do it. I believe in you.
If I could get it in the same... He was supposed to be on set with us in L.A., and he's, didn't happen, unfortunately.
Because of COVID, probably?
Yeah, probably. All of that. Yeah, COVID really stopped... It stopped a lot of people, but I'm just keep going. I'm not going to... I refuse to stop.
Well, I hope it'll be over soon, and I hope that happens for you, because I think that would be rad.
I don't think it'll be over till August.
Well, this year, I hope it'll end soon. I mean, we're lucky in that we don't have to leave the house, but, you can see in the background I'm doing these interviews from our podcast room in our house, which is just kind of like where we collect all the things that fans send us. But nothing beats the studio where we can see you in person and, like, really just kind of geek out on the show together. So that's what I miss, I think, the most is just, like, meeting with the fans and the people.
I'm very honored to be on your podcast.
I'm very honored to have you on the podcast.
Stop it.
The director of Friday the 13th.
Yeah, well, maybe one day. I
think it's gonna happen.
And then you could play this again and be like, "Yo, look at this."
And then I'll be like, "Joe, would you be on the podcast to talk about your movie?" And you'll be like, "No, I'm director."
You're like, "Who are you?" Ash, who?
David. He hated your Hellboy.
I'll tell you what. I'll make a pact with you right now that if I get Friday the 13th, you give me my exclusive interview.
That would be dope. I'll be excited.
Yeah.
Can I be in it? Can I get murdered? Can I throw Twizzlers?
Sure.
Can I throw Twizzlers
at
people?
Yeah. All right. Sold.
You'll be like, this is a brilliant idea. I don't even know how you came up with it, but I
don't
like
even know her. She's been here for an hour throwing Twizzlers in case, and I can't stop filming it.
Okay, last thing I want to know before I let you go is what's the biggest compliment that you've gotten from anyone about being on Stranger Things? It can be a director, a castmate, a fan, your family member, anybody.
Well, the director's never complimented me.
That's rough.
Yeah. I was... What? Go ahead.
I was going to say, but they didn't fire you either, so...
That's true, and they gave me more episodes, so I guess that's the biggest compliment.
They secretly love Nerdy Tech, deep inside.
Yeah, deep inside, they're huge fans. They can't tell me. I'd have to say I was at Albuquerque Comic-Con. I was on a panel with Rob Morgan, who plays a deputy, and Pruitt Taylor Vince, who I love from Identity and a bunch of other movies. And I'm sitting on the end, and it's Rob, and then it's Pruitt. And there's a ton of people asking questions and stuff, and we're just going back and forth. And I got to meet these guys beforehand, and I thought it was really cool that I'm sharing the stage with them. And a couple of kids, everybody's standing in line asking questions, and this kid comes up, and he looks at me, and he goes, Joe, he goes, first of all, I think Nerdy Tech was my favorite character, but he goes, I also think it was one of the most missed characters and could have been expanded upon. And I was like, I agree. And that was it. I think that's the best compliment I got. Because I didn't know the kid, He was just some random kid in Albuquerque who thought I was amazing. So, and I didn't disagree with him.
All right, Joe. We did it. This is it.
Yeah. All right. I'm excited.
Thank you for being on the show today.
Are we?
Yeah.
Have we been recording the whole time? Oh, okay. We're done.
We're
I thought we were starting. Hi, I'm Joe Davison.
I hope we're done. I hope this is recorded.
Thanks for listening to me ramble on for an hour.
Cool, Joe. Well, thanks for being on the podcast. If someone doesn't already follow you on social media, how can they do that?
All of my handles are the same. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Joey Gigglepants. So JoeyGigglepants.
And you're looking for Joe Davison, no D. Not
no
Davidson.
D.
Davison.
Yeah, one D, guys.
It was fun talking to you today.
I'm a child.
I appreciate you. Thank you for being on the podcast.
I appreciate you. Thank you. I can't wait to have you throw Twizzlers at Jason.
I'm excited. All right. Well, thanks for being on the show, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. I hope so. Yeah. Again, soon. Stay strange. It was like Batman-y. Stay strange. I'll do it like Nerdy Tech. Stay strange.
Thanks for listening to the Upside Down podcast hosted by Sisters Ash and Tori. For more information, visit our website at theupsidedownpod.com. You can also contact us at theupsidedownpod@gmail.com, as well as follow us on our Facebook and Instagram under the Upside Down Podcast. Episodes are released every other Monday, so be sure to subscribe. If you love the podcast, be sure to review us on whatever you listen to us on. Thanks again. Stay strange.